Now, what I'm going to present to you stems from the Research Integrity in Norway project. We called this one the Murky Waters of CRP, Attitudes and Self-Reported Questionable Research Practices. To go straight at it. This is from a very large survey distributed to almost every scientist or researcher in Norway holding a research position within either the private or the public sector. We have a response rate of 23.4%, and as that tells you, there is surely a selection bias here. This is also not a probability sample, so the standard frequentist technique for drawing inferences don't apply. Just have said that from the very beginning. Even so, this is by far the largest survey we ever had of this in Norway. And we compare the univariate distributions to the ones that we can find in the public registers, and at least on these variables, there are no major skewness. To go at it, why do it? Well, not why do it, what are the first results then? Now, the first hierarchy that comes out when you rank this on a scale from 1 to 4, from not problematic at all to very problematic, is the FFP elements here. To falsify, or fabricate data or to plagiarize is clearly regarded as the most severe breach of material. Then you have a descending order from denying authorship, not to inform about uncertainties, and all the way down to salami slicing. But as you can see, the averages, they not only decrease, but the standard deviations, the spread, increases. So we ran a one-way ANOVA variance analysis to see whether or not there were clear differences between not the disciplines, because we don't have that detailed information, but the faculties. And it turned out to yield no clear associations, an eta square of 0.04, for those of you who know statistics. So we move on, and we're trying to look for systematic differences in response patterns. Now, why do that? Simply because subgroups, either within disciplines, within faculties, or across faculties, might actually constitute problems. And problems that you can't reveal simply by doing a standard univariate analysis of a running ANOVA. So we asked ourselves, how many subgroups are there? Firstly, with regard to the attitudes, and thereafter, with respect to the self-reported QRPs. Have you actually done any of these in the last 3 years? If these subgroups exist, how large are they? How are they to be interpreted? Or, put it otherwise, what are their profiles? So we ran a latent class analysis on binarized variables. We can discuss the method afterwards. There are good reasons as to why we didn't run a PCA. And we did 2 analyses here, one on the attitudes and one on the self-reported practices. And these were the first 8 variables included in the analysis of the attitudes. First, to give a gift authorship, then to deny authorship despite significant contribution, not informed about limitations, change the sign of the pressure, not to whistleblow, include an irrelevant reference to increase somebody or someone's citation index, use data when ownership is contested, or to copy the references from someone without really consulting the source. This might seem somewhat chaotic. I don't expect you to know latent class analysis, but it's actually fairly simple. You go to N squared, you go to the degrees of freedom, the p-value, the chi-square, and the p-value, and then an index which tells you how many of these individuals are misclassified under a given model. To jump at it, when it comes to the attitudes, we identify 6 different groups, because these measures here indicate a very good model fit, and only 2.3% of the more than 7,000 individuals are misclassified under this model. And what are their results? Once again, might seem chaotic. Actually, it's fairly simple. This row summarizes the 1.0 horizontally. It tells you the size of the subgroup. These blocks here, each pair, summarizes the 1.0. They are the conditional probabilities. Given that you are in one subgroup what is the conditional probability that you answer either yes or no, problematic or not problematic, on each of these 8 variables. And as you can see, there are 2 large subgroups first, and then things start to split up, and they become smaller and smaller and smaller. And the first one summarizes almost a bit more than half of the respondents there. We've called these the pure. Why? There's little or no acceptance whatsoever for any of the QRPs. They're regarded as either very problematic or highly problematic. Moving on to later class 2, that's where things start to change. That's where also acceptance for strategic citations and to copy references is on the increase. You have a higher conditional probability for actually accepting this. Later class 3 is more divided, but yet again it's the same too. And then into the smaller ones, more heterogeneous, but you can see the conditional probabilities, they increase. So in terms of attitudes, they might constitute a risk group. They are small, but what you also find is that while there is an acceptance for specific forms of QRPs, a general acceptance for committing a QRP is not prevalent. It's a marginal phenomenon. It's a very small group in terms of attitudes. More interestingly, given that this is a session on whistleblowing, well, how likely are we to find a group that needs to be whistleblown? And that means asking the question, well, to what degree is attitudes, or are attitudes, sorry for misspelling there, actually converted into actions? So we ran yet another later class analysis, this time on 6 variables because there are some redundancies if we use the same set. And it's a method that is somewhat sensitive to skewness. So we kept the 2 ones on authorship. The one on limitations, not informal about limitations, changing the size, not to whistleblow, and to include an irrelevant reference. The coding here is yet again binary. Either you have done it in one time, 2 times, 3 times or more in the last 3 years, or you say that you haven't done it at all. In this case, we go from a 6-class model to a 3-class model, and it turns out that only 0.07% are misclassified. So it's a very good description of the structures in the data, even though the 2-class model has a slightly higher or the better value for the Bayesian information criteria. But take a look at this. This is where I personally find it very interesting. You have one group, 80+%. They have hardly done any of it. The conditional probabilities is really, really low for having committed any of these QRPs. But move on to the ones we call the generous. 13%. Why generous? Well, oops. A conditional probability of 0.59 for having given a gift authorship, and not to whistleblow on the increase, irrelevant reference 0.25. Moving on to the ones we call the murky, 0.05, 5% of the sample. Why murky? Oops. See, their conditional probabilities are on the rise on several of these items. So, if there is a risk group, then it's clearly the ones we call the murky waters. Once again, why murky? It's not crystal clear. They don't have a conditional probability of 1.0 for actually having done any of these, but it's a very mixed bag of actions that might have been committed. So if you're in this one, you belong to a risk group. What about the question we started with from the one-way ANOVA? Disciplinary boundaries, faculty, associations to the other variables. Actually, it's not as clear as we hoped to find it, to be honest. The first cluster, the ethical ones, is, as could be expected, a general cluster. There are no clear profiles there. No clear profiles of under or over-representation. Move on to the generous, and an over-representation of 5% means that it's put in bold. So if you're in medicine, that's a typo, or in health science, evidently, the risk of having to give or having given a gift authorship increases. It's a practice which it seems to be more widespread in these disciplines than in the other ones. And you're still pretty young. Now, whether or not that implies that somebody has been putting pressure on you, say your supervisor or somebody higher up in the hierarchy tells you, I want to be included in this paper. Of course, we can't know that, but we can imagine how these processes might play out. The ones that are underrepresented are the humanities and the social sciences. Well, I'm a social scientist myself. I'm a professor of sociology. I don't think we necessarily are more ethical than any of the others. But this has also to do with the way science is organized. If you go to Bechet, academic tribes and territories, and the way we organize our work, it might have to do with that. Moving on to the murky, the social sciences are no longer in a positive position. How come? Probably this has to do with institutional dividing lines, the sectors in Norway. We're actually working in a private or privately funded research institute exposes you to risks that aren't necessarily as present if you work in a public institute. But the fact that the postdocs are overrepresented in this group is worrying. They are young. They are in the start of their career. And also that these two, the youngest ones, 30 to 39, are overrepresented in both of these groups cause for attention. If you are an associate professor, or if you're looking towards the end of your paid career, then you are underrepresented. As always, a word of caution to the analysis is warranted. And I have been getting kind of fond of this particular reference. It's Abraham Ward's classic from 1943, where they analyzed the returning bombers from the bombing range over Germany. They analyzed the hits to see where has the German flag made lasting damage to the bomber, and where should we strengthen our armor. Now, Ward's colleagues would say that we should strengthen the armor where the hits are. Ward correctly came to the opposite conclusion. There is a selection bias here because we are looking at the ones who actually returned, not the ones that were shot down. So we should instead strengthen the armor where there are no hits, because that's where the hits are the most serious. And there is surely a under-reporting of QRPs and also FRPs in our survey. But even so, I think our data tells us quite a bit about the situation back home in Norway. And hopefully it is of relevance to you. So, thank you for your attention.